For whatever reason, you've chosen one of the most challenging professions, writing, facing ever-increasing competition and the prospect of marketing regardless of the route you choose to get your book into the world. You've nonetheless decided this is your calling. Everyone finds different stages of writing a book hard. Some struggle to edit their books, others to market them, and many, if not most, have a difficult time even finishing a draft. If simply writing a book and completing a rough manuscript is holding you back, there may be one trick above all others which can help: outlining. I know pantsers are groaning. You've heard this before dozens of times, but there's a reason you keep hearing it. Half the time, people abandon a book because they don't know what happens next. Moreover, those who do manage to finish may be left with a messy draft they are afraid to edit. Watching that cursor flash over a blank page, your inspiration quickly turns to dust. Of course, for any pantsers watching this, there's hope. Your outline can be as detailed or as simplistic as you need it to be. A bullet points list of major events can be enough for many writers to churn out a serviceable first draft. Plus, an outline, while not able to prevent editing, can cut back on the editing you'll have to do. You'll still have to edit your work extensively, especially if you're a first-time writer, but having a coherent plotline planned out can prevent you from needing to rewrite the entire book from scratch. Before we continue, I'm Riley and this is Otherworldly Fiction. On this channel, I rant about fantasy books, discuss characters and lore, share my bookish opinion, and offer the occasional writing advice. If any of that sounds like your cup of tea, hit that subscribe button. Posts are on Fridays. Regardless of how complex your outline is, there are 5 basic elements you should include, if simply to make your life easier. All of these are straightforward, but all will strengthen your outline and lessen the tweaking you'll need to do later. Number 1. Major character arcs. Before you even write the actual outline, you should make a few notes. Namely, you should develop your character's arc. First, I always create a separate document with my book's title, plus the word outline in brackets so as to avoid confusing it with my book. Then, I break the character arc down into 4 basic components, some of which you may have heard of. These include your character's greatest fear, their misbelief, and how that belief changes by the story's end, as well as a character's need. For example, your character might be afraid of dying alone. At the same time, he or she may believe they are unworthy of being loved, only to learn by the story's end that they do deserve happiness. A character's misbelief may go in another direction. A character might hate robots, only to befriend one and admit that some robots, or droids, can be trustworthy companions. Other characters still might believe the world is out to get them, only to be redeemed by the power of friendship. Your character's misbelief will vary depending on the genre and the story you're hoping to tell. A misbelief could be as simple as "no one should love me," or as specific as "all dragons are monsters." What's important is that this belief is altered in some way by the story's end. The character's fear will often tie into their misbeliefs, being either at odds with them or the cause of them. A misbelief that dragons are bad could come as a result of being afraid of them. Hopefully, your characters are developed enough that these components come easily. If your character is afraid of something, whether that's spiders or romantic commitment, you should know why. You should know the causes behind their misbelief, and then come up with a reason for changing them which will be convincing. Interestingly, by defining your character's arc, you'll come away with another key element of your story, intrinsic to the outline itself: the theme. My story features a character that doesn't believe he could be loved, and yet his need is to be safe and know someone cares for him. The theme of the story is family, and so the character's drive to protect his family, both biological and found, supports this. If your book has more than one theme, the others, of course, can come from various supporting characters. While it's essential the protagonist has some kind of arc, even if he still harbors something of the old misbelief by the end, it's recommended other major characters do too. Other characters to consider include the villain or villains of the piece, as well as any sidekicks, best friends, or love interests. Each character should have an arc, a fear, a misbelief, an alteration to that belief, and a need. When it comes to characters who aren't present all the time, such as the antagonist, the reader might not know his need or arc, but the writer should still know if they don't want the character to come across as one-dimensional. If you're writing a series, revealing your villain's fears and needs by layers can also keep readers hooked. Number 2, character goals. I include this element separately from the last because it can vary. First, your protagonist, along with their closest companions and the villain, should have goals. There will be their major goal of the series, the bigger goals they have personally, and the smaller goals they pursue, potentially chapter to chapter, to achieve the greater goals. To use Harry Potter as an example, all 3 members of the Golden Trio have varying goals. Harry's major goal throughout the books is to defeat Voldemort. His big goals, which are important to him, are to win the Quidditch Cup and, come his later years, meet the requirements to become an Auror. As for his smaller goals, these vary between chapters. In one chapter, Harry's goal might be to gather the ingredients for a polyjuice potion, while in another, his goal will be to interview a giant spider for the truth. Even in Stealing the Ford Anglia, he and Ron have a clear goal: reach Hogwarts. Goals, both big and small, drive your characters and with them the action. Goals which tie into your characters' personalities are even better because they can highlight their traits. To use Harry as an example, his desire to become an Auror reflects his instinct to protect others, something he has demonstrated from the onset. Characters can have multiple goals too. In the 4th Harry Potter book, Hermione has all kinds of goals. She wants to help Harry survive the Triwizard Tournament, to improve the welfare of house elves, and to put a stop to Rita Skeeter. It sounds like a lot, but Hermione manages it, actively pursuing her many goals. To help Harry survive, she studies new spells with him. To help the house elves, she attempts to free them, and then begins an organization known as Spew. As for Rita Skeeter, she pays attention, and, on discovering Rita's secret, makes a point of catching her. If you're having trouble thinking of goals for your characters, think of both your story and the characters themselves. If it's a fantasy series, it's likely the bigger goal will be to destroy a big bad, or at least to challenge him or avoid drawing his attention, depending on the story. As for the characters, who are they as people? What do they like or dislike? Is your hero an animal lover? Do they dream of starting a family? Annabeth's major goal is to help Percy survive until his 16th birthday and defeat Kronos. But her big personal goal is to become an architect, a dream, like Harry's desire to become an Auror, which reflects her overall personality. A desire for love, a family, or success in a chosen field are all common goals for characters across genres. Whether you're writing a middle grade fantasy, a romance, or a horror, most characters have a career they want to pursue, as well as preferences on whether or not they want to get married or have children. Smaller goals help to flesh out your story with subplots, and they should be pursued, or at least frequently mentioned, between those scenes when the characters are pursuing the major goal. Annabeth doesn't always have time to concentrate on her architectural ambitions, but she continually discusses architecture, keeping her dreams foremost in the reader's mind. Finally, the goal shouldn't be confused with the character's need. While there may be overlap at times, more often than not, a character's need is something even he overlooks. Harry Potter needs to be loved and nurtured, even as he wants to defeat Voldemort or avoid the Dursleys. Harry doesn't even realize the extent of his neglect until he's given the warmth only friends and found family can bring. Number 3. The logline. This element should be written at the top of your document because, in a nutshell, it is the basic premise of your story. Though loglines are typically used for screenplays, I've found them useful for writing novels too. The logline will say what your story actually is, though it can't be longer than a sentence, and it can serve as a guide for not only the story itself, but for the blurb you'll need to write on the back of the book or its internet page. A logline is who the character is, what his problems are, and the obstacle which prevents him from solving that problem. A logline might be, an 11-year-old boy in training at a magical school to become a wizard has his life endangered by the dark wizard who killed his parents. In this logline, we have the who, an 11-year-old boy, his goal to attend and learn at a magical school, and his greatest obstacle, the man who made him an orphan. Your logline might change as you write the story, and you can tweak its wording for specificity, but the more detailed but concise you can be, the better. If you want to include an adjective for your character, you should. Instead of just saying a boy, you could say a troubled 12-year-old boy, or a fiery and reckless teen girl. As an aside, be sure to hit that like button if you're enjoying this video so far. Number 4. The plot beats. Finally, we come to the outline itself. As I said before, how detailed you make this section will depend on you. You might outline each scene and conversation. You might break down the beats and allow the scenes to come to you as you write within them, as I do. Or you might have basic sections like the beginning, middle, and end. Whatever you do, you should at least follow the basic story structure. Unless you're writing a character study, a collection of poems, or a Virginia Woolf-inspired literary work where you simply jump through characters' thoughts, you'll want to follow the basic rules. In a traditional story, you have the beginning, the middle, the rising action, the climax, and the falling action. Even low-stakes stories, such as those in the slice-of-life genre or the rom-com category, follow this structure. Your story might begin with a meet-cute. In the middle, the pair get to know each other and have various adventures. As tensions appear in the relationship, the action in the story rises, and then, when all is well and the characters are engaged, the action falls. We see the wedding, loose ends are tied, and everyone is happy. On a more complex level, you can map your story out using beats. 2 outlines you might follow include the hero's journey and the Save the Cat method. George Lucas consulted the hero's journey to write the Star Wars films. As for Save the Cat, the beats outlined were written with screenplays in mind, but dealing with the fundamentals of the story itself, it works perfectly well for novels too. Moreover, in addition to the original Save the Cat book, there is a second book you can read which focuses specifically on applying the beats to a novel. The hero's journey might sound more appropriate for the fantasy genre, but it can technically be applied to any genre. Karate Kid could be seen as a hero's journey, because it features a mentor character, one of the tropes intrinsic to the hero's journey. If you wanted to be especially creative, you could even use the template in a romance story. Maybe the female hero's mentor is her best friend, an obsessed matchmaker, and maybe the big bad is her self-doubt, or a boss who's finally defeated when the hero can prove she's been embezzling. You might think following one of these templates will lead to an unoriginal story, but your story is still your story. And these outline types can help you define the broad strokes of your story, as well as protect your story from sagging middle syndrome. If a section of your book is headed with the midpoint, also known as the point of no return, or bad guys close in, that's a reminder to you, as you outline, to include action and ratchet it up, even if that action is as simple as a couple fighting or a boss laying off workers. The beats you're offered will encourage conflict in your story, something which is a must for all genres. Number 5. Monthly time breakdown. This last element is one of the simplest on the list to add, but also the more overlooked. When outlining your story, you need to be aware of time. Regardless of what calendar your characters follow, be it ours or one in a fictional universe, you as the writer have to know how much time is passing. Does your story take place in a day, a week, or 2 months? If the story takes place in a week or a day, you don't need to worry about this element. However, if it takes place over a matter of months or years, you need to know what time it is. Between your beats, or those paragraphs describing your story's events, add in above each the month it is and what year, if applicable. It sounds like a small thing, but it can help you to avoid inconsistencies. If it snows in the first chapter and the characters are going to the beach in the next, you might have a problem. You don't have to announce to the reader what month it is, but you should describe it. If you know it's April, your descriptions are going to include gray skies, puddles, and green shoots. If it's summer, protagonists will sweat, perfect blue skies will abound, and grass will turn brown. In August, your character may even catch a whiff of smoke from a distant forest fire. The small details provided by such shifts in weather immerse readers in the story, as well as provide them with a sense of passing time. Plus, if you're writing a series, it helps you keep track of a character's birthday as well. If a great deal of time passes, such as 2 months or more, readers should also be told. Otherwise, they'll be confused when the 7-year-old protagonist is suddenly talking like an adult and smoking a cigarette. Harry Potter takes place over a year, and its descriptions of the varying seasons are pronounced. As Hogwarts itself, almost a character in its own right, alters with the passage of time. Halloween and Christmas are almost always noted in the books, and mention is made of how season shifts affect the characters' lives. Quidditch practice in November is different from Quidditch in May, and those who have read the books can remember the many miserably muddy sessions Harry endured in the winter. Other seasonal details include the mention of potions for winter head colds, the relief of sitting before the common room fire after a chilly day, and the nasty heat of Trelawney's room at the top of the divination classroom in the summer. Little details like these add realism to the story and connect readers with the characters. When the characters change into warm robes following a frigid Quidditch practice, we feel everything along with them, and the passage of time is clearly marked, adding variety to the setting and consistency. If keeping track of shifting seasons sounds like a pain in the ass to you, but you still want your characters to age, you can also take the Percy Jackson approach. After noting that a school year has passed, most of Percy's adventures take place during the summers. All the months between are glossed over in a paragraph, with the action only being seen by readers within a 2-month span. If you go the summer camp route, you still need to be aware of days and weeks. If you have 3 weeks pass 4 times, you'll end up having to edit these instances later. However, if your story takes place in a smaller window, weather descriptions should be more straightforward. In conclusion, many writers hate outlines and the work which comes with them, but they, along with the 4 other elements I've listed, can help you to avoid blank page syndrome and to pen a first draft which follows some kind of logic. Even if you're a pantser, having an awareness of how much time will pass in your story, as well as how your character's goals and arc will tie into it, will make for stronger writing overall. Be it your character's misbelief and journey, the goals of your protagonist and villain, the logline, which describes the story itself, or even just a guide for what the weather should be scene to scene, these 5 elements will strengthen your story, as well as make writing it less of a headache. What other elements would you include in your outlining process? Are you a plotter or a pantser? Sound off in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and happy writing!